Hi, my magical creatures, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is really juicy. This guy is very Googleable. He has his own gym and he's been on TV. So he's pretty well known. I think people know him, especially in this area. But, what was I gonna say? So let's see where it all started. So how this started was that, my grandmother was going to see him. She was getting like workout lessons from him and stuff like that. So my grandmother basically feared for my life. So I was like 19. This was back before I even started hormones. She basically feared for my life. She thought I was going to get hurt for being a trans woman and going through the transition, etc. So she thought, you know, like I should learn self-defense, you know. So she basically took me to this gym. We're going to call him Kevin. So Kevin basically, it was really nice. My grandmother told him my situation. So he, you know, he let me know saying, you know, I'm really proud of you for being yourself. And, you know, I support you. And, you know, I think it's amazing that you're being your authentic self. So right then and there, I was like, okay, he's cool. So me and him, you know, I started seeing him once a week. It was one-on-one. So there was like no one else in the gym but me and him. And, you know, sometimes, you know, he'll train me and stuff, and then he'll ask me questions about my transition, like what I plan on getting done, and, you know, am I happy, like stuff like that. And so he told me that he had a trans friend too, and that we're gonna call her Misty. So like he would talk about Misty to me all the time, and like would just be like, yeah, but I feel like the way that he would talk about her, he talked about her a lot to me, and I was just kind of felt like, I had a vibe. I was like, dude, I wonder if they like messed around or something. I don't know. So back at this time, I've like never been with a guy, never. So, you know, I just, you know, I was like, well, what do I know? And so, after that, you know, and then like he would also ask me for like girl advice too. And so like so he had a girlfriend at the time, and then like he would ask me like, you know, if your man wanted you to get a boob job, like, would you do it? And I was like, well, first of all, in my situation, I plan on getting that anyways, whether he wanted it or not. Secondly, I'm like, well, she is a biological woman, right? He said, of course. And then he's like, you know, and then so I was like, okay, well, you know, it's her body, it's her choice. If she wants it, then, you know, but I don't think she should really get it because her boyfriend wants it. I just think that's a little much. And so he just was like, okay. And he said, well, you wouldn't do it to please your man. I was like, well, I've never had a boyfriend, but, you know, I just, you know, for her, if she already has breasts, I mean, like, why would she alter her, you know what I mean? Like, why would she have foreign things in her? You know, I don't know. But I just basically was like, I don't know. And so I just left it at that. And then, so I want to say, so after that, you know, getting to know him, he got to know me. I want to say after I ran through all the sessions with him, I think 12 weeks, I kind of just took a break from seeing him. I want to say a couple years later, I was like, I just turned 21. I was at the club, you know, he adds me on Snapchat a couple years later. Also too, he was a family friend of my family. So like my grandmother really liked him a lot. Yeah, so basically she would always try to invite him to a lot of family like events and stuff. And like he would never show up, but you know, she really liked him a lot. So like, you know, what else? So yeah, a couple years later, I'm at the gay club on my 21st birthday. My ex-boyfriend at the time and my friends, you know, we were turning up at the club, you know, whatever. And, you know, he starts messaging me on Snapchat. He's like, oh my God, you know, you're really pretty. I'm so proud of you for being yourself. Oh my God, you're so pretty, blah, 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 blah. I was like, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. And then he ends up hitting me up again. I think a couple weeks later, Ludacris and what else? Ludacris and Lil Uzi had this concert place, and I ended up going to go see them in live. And I'm over here turning up to, you know, seeing Ludacris and Lil Uzi, and then I'm over here filming, you know, taking selfies and stuff, and filming the concert and all that. And so he was just hitting me up again, saying like, oh my God, you're like really pretty, you know, I'm just so proud of you. Like, he just kept telling me that he was so proud of me transitioning. I was like, oh my God. So at the time, you know, I did have a boyfriend at the time, but we were at that time we were fighting a lot, so we were like on and off. So we were taking a break at the time. So we really, weren't together. So what happened? So I was working retail or whatever, and I didn't get off until 10 o'clock at night. So he wanted me to, come over and catch up, and talk like, like old times. And I was like, all right, cool. So at this time, I've only been with one man ever. So I really didn't know about, I was really young and naive. I was only like 21, and I had just turned 21, and he basically would just try to like, he would ask me to come over, stuff like that. So I didn't think anything of it. I thought like, cause he's like a family friend, and he knew my family like that. Like I just thought like he would not try, like I felt safe going to his house, I was just like, so, I would just go to his house. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I only went over to see him twice. The first night we talked or whatever, he did offer me a drink. I said no, I declined, but we did talk for a little bit, for like a couple hours, and then I ended up leaving, and then I went home. Second time, so a couple weeks later, he asked me to come over again. I was like, all right, cool. I'll come over and talk to you. But this time, I did take the drink. So we were drinking or whatever. And then he told me like, oh, you can come swimming in my pool too. And I was like, all right, cool. So I had my little swimsuit. So, yeah, I got in the pool. So we talked or whatever. I want to say I got a little drunk, I was like halfway drunk and then halfway like kind of aware what was going on. So I basically, we talked it up, and what happened, this is when things started to get awky. And so I didn't think like he would ever mess with me like that. I've only been with one man ever. Didn't think he would mess with me like that. And so what happened? So we were sitting in his backyard. He has like this little tiki little setup thing, and then the pool. So we're in the pool and then talking, and then all of a sudden he was like telling me like he was just got done being on the show or whatever on American Ninja Warrior, and he was just like telling me about like some of the stuff that happened. He couldn't tell me everything, but he ended up telling me some stuff. He ended up sharing some things with me, wanted me to babysit for his kids, etc. So the things that started to get like a little awky was when I think he was like, I'm trying to remember. This was like, wow, this was like some years ago. But basically, I asked him, I was like, I need to go use the bathroom. And so I'm sitting like far away from him outside. He's sitting like on the other side in the backyard. And so next thing I know, when I get back from the bathroom, the chair is like a lot closer. And I was like, I know I'm not that drunk. But I literally didn't say anything. So I was like, is this really happening right now? So, he's just like giving me more drinks or whatever. And then, so we're just sitting down and talking. I'm like a lot closer to him. And I was just like, oh my God, like in my mind, I'm like, this is not happening. But I literally wanted to see like what more is going to happen, But, basically I'm sitting on the couch, and then I'm basically too drunk to drive. And so I tell him, I was like, is it okay if I crash here? Like, I'm a little too, like, drunk or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So I was like, all right, cool. So I was going to sleep on the couch. And then all of a sudden, he's like, we're family, right? He's like, you can totally sleep in my bed. Like, it's whatever. Like, you're family to me. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, is this really, like, happening? But I was like, no, like, this ain't happening. So I go sit in his bed. And, he is an attractive man. I'm going to be honest with y'all. He's an attractive man. He has muscles, stuff like that. And he knows how to fight. So, I felt safe with him, honey. So, wasn't going to say. So, we basically, yeah, so me and him, we're just sleeping, laying down in the bed, talking. And then next thing I know, he starts, like, flirting with me, saying, like, I always thought you were hot, like, you're good looking, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like halfway drunk and halfway still like, oh my God. So I'm just like, shut up. And so next thing I know, like, he over here, like, I don't know, like, he takes his shirt off, and then me and him, like, I don't know, he just reaches in and kisses me, and I was like, oh my God. But then I kind of liked it, but then I was just like, oh my God. And so next thing I know, like, stuff started to go down in the bedroom. So you already know. And then all of a sudden, this is when things kind of went south, was when he basically told me to my face, like, ooh, I want to experiment with you and all this stuff. That's when I drew the line, and I literally was like done. Like, I literally, cause like I kind of like laughed a little bit, like, and then I said, this is why men like you are pigs. Like, you are a pig. You are disgusting. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I went off on him in the bedroom. And then he basically was telling me to calm down. Like, hey, just calm down. Like, just relax. Hey, I'm sorry. Da, 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 da. And then I was just like, all right, whatever. And then, like, I just laid back down. And then he said, just, you know, just rest your head. So I'm, like, resting on his chest or whatever. And then we just end up going to sleep. And the next thing I knew, I wake up and I'm like this. Like, on the bed, I'm like, rolled over and stuff. So I'm like, did he push me off of him in the middle of the night? Like, I don't know. So 4 o'clock in the morning comes around, and I get up, and then I just pack my, like, grab all my stuff, and I just, like, leave. And then I'll do the walk of shame through the house and everything. And then I get in my car, I take off. Later that day, he's out with his friends. I see on Snapchat story. So I just hit him back on Snapchat because I was like, this was kind of like weird. This was the second man I've ever been with. So I literally like, I literally was just kind of like, didn't know how to like respond to what happened. But I just let him know like, oh, last night was like interesting. Ha ha ha. And he was all like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, I hope we can, like, hang out again or something. I don't know. And then he basically was like, yeah. And then he blocked me off of Snapchat and Instagram. And I was like, what the hell? And so, that was, like, really, that was kind of hurt. That was a little heartbreaking, you know? It was a little heartbreaking because I didn't think he was like that. And so I ended up telling my mom about it years later. And she was just like, you know dang well when you go see a man in the middle of the night. First of all, it was like 10:20 at night. But, you know, she just was like, you know, stuff was about to happen. And I was like, no, I did not. I really didn't. So I don't want people in the comments being like, well, girl, you was seeing him late at night. Like, what'd you expect? I was really young. I was naive. I've only been with one man ever. And he treated me with respect and did not treat me how he treated me. So, how Kevin treated me. So, basically, yeah, that was crazy. So I ended up seeing him a year and a half later. It's really funny. So I'm like driving past, I'm driving past like this road, and like I see him pulling out, and I was like, oh my God. So next thing you know, I pull out, I'm driving on one side of the road, he's driving on the other lane or whatever. And then he sees me. I act like I don't see him, but I can see him in the peripheral vision. When he saw me, he was just kind of like this, and then like he hit the brakes, and then next thing I know, I keep driving, and then all of a sudden we stop at a stoplight, and I was like, oh my God, like there was just enough space for him to pull up right next to me, and I was like, oh my God. Next thing I know, he stops like 2 car spaces back and like would not pull up, and next thing I know, it's like a green light, and so I just drive off like whatever, like I don't care. And next thing I knew, he just like was driving like so slow in the back, like would not like drive up next to me or come near me or whatever. But yeah, that was the last time I seen him. He was definitely, the moral of the story is number 1, you need to get to know guys and get to know them. Number 2, don't be going to see them in the like late at night, especially when it's just you and him. And number 3, that guy definitely had a fetish for trans women as myself. You know, you just have to be careful as a woman. Like, you really have to protect yourself, especially as a trans woman too. You really got to watch yourself, because A, either they could hurt you, or B, they want to experiment with you and they're curious and stuff like that. So I definitely want to say, you know, I learned my lesson. I mean, I don't really care. But yeah, this is a crazy story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give this video a big thumbs up. Give this a like, comment, subscribe, and more videos to come.